Hey everybody, welcome back to A Matter of Life in Maiden. I'm Joe Labriola.
And I'm Matt Wagner.
And today we're gonna kick off where we left off from last time with the Final Frontier album, the live concert recording en vivo that was filmed in Estudio Nacional in Santiago, Chile in 2011.
50,000 fucking Chileans.
Yeah, as Bruce says.
There's a lot of Chileans there. It's the most Chileans I've ever seen in one place.
It's a great concert.
This concert has that Rock in Rio feel. It's like a festival, you know?
Yep, it's a festival. That's the thing that Matt and I talk about too a lot with these live concert releases. Death on the Road, Live After Death, Rock in Rio,
Maiden
England. Very intimate because they're all filmed at one venue and it's not a bunch of different songs. Not that Flight 666 is bad. Not that the Book of Souls live chapter we'll get to later. But those concerts kind of aren't as personal because
you can't watch it. It doesn't flow. Yeah. It doesn't because they switch sites. I don't personally like them as much at all. And I'd rather get one concert that's subpar. Not that En Vivo is at all, but I'd rather get a subpar concert than a bunch of different sites.
Exactly, I agree. Because the energy of the people who are attending, you can feel that when you watch it. And not that there's no energy in the individual songs in different locations when they do track by track, but it's just, it doesn't carry over.
Yeah, I think first we'll talk about En Vivo, because that's what people are familiar with. We'll give our kind of like insights on it. And then we'll talk about our experience with the Final Frontier tour, which was a tour before they put the album out. And only Dorado was part of that tour. And it was kind of a new era Maiden tour. They played all songs off of Brave New World, Dance of Death, Matter of Life and Death, and then one song off of Final Frontier.
Yeah, that's what I was going to think too. It's a little bit harder for us to do it if we do it any other way because with, Flight 666 when we talked about Power Slave and Our Summer Back in Time.
It was the same set, yeah.
Yeah, it was almost the same set. And they played songs from a history standpoint. Same thing with Maiden England. With this, as a new album tour, we only got to see one song.
Yeah, I think that tour that we saw was the most interesting kind of mix of songs of tours they've done that we've seen since this new tour.
Legacy of the Beast.
Legacy of the Beast. I think that's even like a greater mix of songs.
I agree with you. Okay, let's dive into En Vivo.
Yeah, first off, like, holy crap, that's like a big stadium. There's like a lot of people there.
It's huge.
Yeah. And I would say South Americans have the best fans in the world, I think. As like a whole continent goes, by far the best.
Oh, it's the energy of that place is amazing. That's what we talked about. Like, if you were to split that concert up in Vivo in different locations, it just wouldn't be as powerful.
I mean, those fans aren't just like poser fans. I mean, they like live Iron Maiden. They knew the words to the songs. They all had Iron Maiden shirts. These people aren't exactly like the wealthiest country in the world either. For them to all have tickets here and to travel to here and to wear the shirts, I mean, it's a big deal. When they buy an Iron Maiden shirt, it's a big deal. Yeah,
like Matt and I say we're fortunate because we've seen 6 shows so far. Some of these people who live in like South America and other places that they visit, I mean, this is the only time they're seeing the band ever in their life.
Yeah, they might go to South America every tour, but they don't go to Chile every tour. They don't go to, Brazil every tour. I mean, these places, they get a show every 5-6 years sometimes.
Exactly.
Maybe, if you're lucky.
So we're pretty fortunate up here, like we said.
Especially us living in the northeast of the United States. Like, there's a lot of big cities within driving range, so...
It's nice.
Yeah.
Satellite 15. They start off with this. This is the intro.
Yeah, that video intro with, you can see Bruce's face, and he's, like, screaming about, being lost in space and all this stuff, and I like the video editing of the beginning of this, I will say there's some video editing in this I do not like, and we'll get to that later, but I do like the editing in the beginning. And sound quality on this DVD, probably the best sound quality-wise of any show they've done. I think even better than Rock in Rio. In terms of production of sound, I think it's better.
Guitars sound amazing, vocals are, everything's amazing, top-notch. 100. It's like a full
The video is amazing, the video is clear, it's
great. Yeah, it's great.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, I think aside from Flight 666, this is the second DVD they released. Actually, they released on Blu-ray as well.
Like HD, yeah. Because Rock in Rio was in HD, and then Dance of Death wasn't either.
Yeah, Death on the Road. Yeah, it was HD.
Yeah, Death on the Road. It does, like, going back and watching Rock in Rio now, and it not being in HD, it's you kind of see it. Like, back in the day, you're like, you kind of didn't understand what HD was because of like you grew up your whole life with like the standard definition, and then once you go from HD back to standard definition, it's like wow,
it's a difference.
Yeah, it's like going from 1080p on YouTube and putting it down at like 480, and you can kind of like it's hard to go back.
Yeah,
that's what I love about this, and also like like I said, the sound quality is great too. It sounds in HD as well.
It's amazing. What do you think about Adrian Smith's Les Paul he plays on?
Oh yeah, me and Joe went to lunch earlier today, and I was like talking to him. I was like, that gold metallic Les Paul that he plays is pretty sweet. You know, little personal information. I just bought a a Gibson Les Paul here a couple days ago. Uh-huh. So like I was watching this concert, and I was like, man, he's got a sweet. You know, I have a Les Paul, and he has a Les Paul. This is pretty sweet.
And I just got a Fender Strat.
Yeah, like that.
A week ago, so.
Yeah, like Iron Maiden, they play Strats and they play Les Pauls, Gibsons, you know, and then sometimes he plays Jacksons, you know.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I have a Fender, I have an Epiphone Les Paul, I have a Jackson Warrior, and I have an Epiphone acoustic, and I have an Ibanez bass. But Matt and I both own Les Pauls, and watching Adrian play that on stage, I mean, you're just like, wow.
Yeah, and like when I got my Les Paul, I kind of like the tone that kind of like Adrian gets out of it. You know, I could get a little bit of that too, just because Les Pauls are such quality guitars. They all have that great tone.
Amazing sustain on them.
Yeah,
amazing.
And that's like that opening solo by Adrian, and Adrian's tone in general. I think he has the best solo tone of any of the people in the band. Yeah. I mean, it just cuts through, and it's just he has that wall. I mean, it's just incredible. I love it.
I think his solo is the best part about the song.
Oh, by far, yeah. Right. Especially live, like.
Oh yeah.
It's great to watch him. Like Adrian has like a lazy way of soloing and playing. Like, it doesn't look like he's playing very fast, but it's so clean and it's so precise and it's so like tone off the charts. Like, it's great.
He's incredible. My favorite guitarist, as you guys know, if you listen to the Somewhere in Time podcast. Then they go into the Final Frontier after Satellite 15, and we talked about that sort of.
Yeah.
Know. Then after that, they're playing El Dorado.
Yeah, so that great. I liked how it transitioned because like they had like the guitar kind of like transitioned into El Dorado. Like the two songs like really really go together.
Yeah, we didn't really mention that when we talked about the album. That they do kind of go together because we were kind of focused on how they didn't really live up to the expectation, but yeah, I mean they kind of go hand in hand if you think about it.
It's kind of like how Wicker Man always went into Gustav the Navigator.
Aces High and 2 Minutes to Midnight.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those duos.
Time with Steers.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it up there with all of those, but it's great. You know, I think that they go together.
Yeah, and if you think about that, that's a good point you make too, man. Because really, outside of even on Book of Souls, and I don't want to talk about the future, but on Book of Souls, those first two songs don't really work. On Dance of Death, those first two songs don't really work. A Matter of Life and Death, they don't really work.
Yeah, they don't. Not in the way that this does in 2 Minutes to Midnight and Aces High, Aces High and 2 Minutes to Midnight do. You know,
Somewhere in Time and Got Some More Time and Wasted Years, and a lot of the stuff from the 80s, really.
Yeah, I mean,
Wrathchild and Infinite Dreams.
Where Eagles Dare and Revelations.
Yeah, those things. So that's something we forgot to mention.
Those are great marks of a good album. Is
those tandem songs.
Yeah, his first two off the bat. And probably down the road, me and Joe will probably do like a podcast about what are the best, tandem songs. I mean, songs that go together, I'm sure Aces High and 2 Minutes Midnight will probably be number one, but we'll still do it.
It's hard. But yeah, we kind of forgot to mention that on the album, but you hear it now. Yeah, they're great together. El Dorado is amazing live. We actually saw this.
Yeah, this
live.
is the one song from the Final Frontier tour that we saw live.
Love it. Amazing live. Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Steve comes out with that bass line. He's just playing the open E string.
It's classic. It's classic Iron Maiden, and it's you have like Adrian do that. This guitar sounds amazing. Like it's all. Yeah. And the energy of the crowd and everything going with it. I mean, like, it's the closest thing to Rock and Rio that they've done. But what can you say about the South American fans?
Amazing.
It should go nuts.
Then after they saw the first three songs, which were...
It's like a crowd. It's a crowd like 50,000 of us in the crowd. That's how we would be.
First three songs of the new album, and then they go into 2 minutes to midnight.
Yeah, I mean, I love this performance at 2 minutes to midnight. I mean, it's probably like right below the Rock and Rio version to me.
I agree with you. It's a fucking fantastic performance of it. It's awesome.
And Bruce is,
he sounds
great.
amazing on this. He sounds better now than he did ever.
Yeah, he had a great performance during this concert. A lot better than the Dance of Death performance. Or the Death on the Road performance.
Yeah.
He was kind of struggling. He had laryngitis in that tour. That's why he's kind of like... He came out and he did it anyway. And I think they even, like... Steven even asked him, like... After they did the show, and he knew, like... This wasn't Bruce's best performance, and it wasn't what Bruce is capable of. Like, he knows Bruce is better than that. And he asked him, like, hey, we won't put this out if you don't want to, because it makes you look bad, And he's like, no, go ahead. So
they did it in Dortmund. They had to do it.
So, it says a lot about Bruce that he's comfortable with himself. He knows that people will listen to that, and he knows that he's better than that performance was, and, he lives up to it here in Vivo. Shows him that, he's capable of it.
And you guys know what 2 Minutes to Midnight's like. This is probably like the third, fourth time, fifth, sixth time we talked about it already.
Yeah, it's a great song. We don't really need to...
Amazing live, but then after they play 2 Minutes to Midnight, this might be one of the best performances, if not the best performance on the entire concert. They play the Talisman from the Final Frontier.
Yeah, this is what the Final Frontier album should have did. They should have put the Talisman like the third or fourth spot on the album.
Yeah.
So it kind of shows you in the concert what it should have been like. This should have been like, you have Dorado, you had Final Frontier, it kind of like introduces you to the music, right? And then you go 2 Minutes to Midnight to keep everybody interested. The people that don't know the new stuff, they hear 2 Minutes to Midnight, okay, we know that one. And then you play the Talisman and you're like, this is what our new stuff is. Like, check this out.
And it's unbelievable.
It's great performance. I think when I was watching this here recently, like, there's a couple of performances that I really, really, really enjoyed from this live DVD, and this is definitely one of them. If not the second best performance of the concert, I think there's one better. I think we'll see if you agree later on.
This is definitely up there. I agree. If it's the same song, we'll see. But it's definitely up there. It might be number 1 or 2. Yeah,
it's really, really out of the new stuff. Definitely number 1.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Coming Home.
Great performance too. I think this song works a lot better live than it did on the CD on the album, and like. Bruce does that little intro where he talks about the songs. That's what's great about the live DVDs is that things don't always go to plan, or Bruce goes off on tangent. If you ever want to see Iron Maiden live, Bruce has a habit of just like shooting the breeze at certain points and just talking about whatever.
Especially on Legacy of the Beast now. You ever watch his intros and songs on this? He talks for...
Bruce is a storyteller at heart, and this is kind of like what he does, and he's telling a story of like what this song's about. It's about Flight 666 tour. They took a plane around the world and they went to like 5 different continents in like a couple weeks, and that's what he flew the plane. If you don't know that about Bruce, he's a commercial airline pilot. He's licensed, and
he's so many things. We talk about how Bruce is a polymath on our other podcast. I can't really recall which one it is now, but he's amazing. It might have been the Flight 666 when we actually talked about it. We talked about our Somewhere Back in Time tour. He's
an amazing individual in the heavy metal music world.
And he seems like a really good person too. I mean, he seems like he's really down to earth and really
humble. I think in the history of rock, I think he's like a top, 5 or 10 frontman. He's way up there.
Absolutely, fantastic.
Especially his longevity.
Fantastic. He gets better with age. Bruce gets better with age. That's what I mean. Even if you're comparing some other people to Bruce,
if you're like looking at like the great frontmen in rock history, Robert Plant. He was good for 10 years. And that was it. Or Freddie Mercury, 10 years, or. Who else? Robert Daltrey from The Who, 10 years maybe, like what they were on top of the world, and here Bruce is, almost 40 years.
Exactly, and he's nothing but that. He's,
like you said, he's better now than he was in the 80s.
Oh, he sounds amazing.
And he was, like, great then.
I mean, just us talking in the podcast, we reviewed Live After Death, that live performance. Obviously, he had a strenuous, trek in the 80s with that show. Us seeing him live now, granted, they have better sound equipment and stuff now, too, but he just sounds ridiculous. I'm not gonna give the equipment the credit that Bruce. It's him. It's him singing.
Even Steve said recently that Bruce sounds better now than he ever has.
And it just keeps getting better. Of the 6 shows that I've seen Maiden on, he sounds better every single time.
Yeah, I think he's more in control of his voice. He can't do the crazy stuff he could do with his voice in the 80s, but what he does now, he's better at. He's better at controlling his voice. He's better at pronunciating live. He's better at everything, He's just a more complete vocalist.
I agree with you. Then after Coming Home, they go into The Dance of Death.
Which is a great performance of Dance of Death. I like this performance of Dance of Death better than I like the Death on the Road version.
I think him actually singing it better, but theatrically, I think I like the Death on the Road one a little bit more. theatrically.
I like musically. I like this one better.
Yeah, musically, this one it does have that edge, and I think it's what you talked about before with like the production and stuff like that's better. But yeah, musically, definitely, it's better. Theatrically, I don't think so. But you're right. Him singing it. We just talked about how Bruce sings. He sings it better on this.
Yeah,
an amazing performance. Definitely, it's up there. Is it your number one? It's probably top three for me. It's probably my number three.
on this whole DVD here. Yeah, probably third. Yeah,
it's probably my number three.
Yeah.
Then, after they do Dance of Death, they go into the Trooper.
I really like this version of the Trooper as well. Now, I don't like it quite as much as the Rock and Rio version, but I think it's one of the better versions of the Trooper they've done recently.
It's awesome. And like we said, some of these songs you guys are hearing, this is like the 6th, 7th, 8th time we've talked about the songs.
Yeah, so we don't really need to go into detail here.
It's just amazing. Go watch En Vivo.
Yeah, if you're out there and you haven't got En Vivo yet, like it's worth it. It's worth going and buying.
Really, all their live stuff all the stuff they put out, it's pretty amazing. Go check it out. Wicker Man.
I don't like how Adrian changed the opening riff of Wicker Man.
I don't like it either.
After the original Brave New World tour, like he does this kind of like the classic Wicker Man riff is like wah wah da 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 wah wah, and this is like wah wah. I don't even know how to do it. Like it's weird.
Well, he kind of changed the riff, like Matt said. The original way on the record and when he played it was
which is simple. It's simplistic. I get that.
Now he's like putting like a wah pedal in it. It sounds like, and he's doing it backwards. It sounds like it's like. Like it's reverse of what it was before. It's weird.
I don't know. He's throwing like a different note in there somewhere. Like I don't like it at all. And because the original Rock and Rio, the intro when he comes out with Wicker Man is like one of the best moments of that whole show.
And he definitely changed it. And we saw this live too. And he played it.
It's weird. Way. It's so weird live.
He played it the new way.
Somebody needs to tell him that he needs to go back and just do the classic Wicker Man. Like it's. I don't like this version of the Wicker Man nearly as much as I did the Rock and Rio version. It's far less superior.
It's definitely not as good. And we saw those two live, and obviously Rock and Rio version. I mean, it was amazing to see it live in general, but it doesn't touch the original version.
Yeah, like they play Wicker Man a lot nowadays too. It didn't have quite the energy.
Blood Brothers.
This is my favorite performance of the whole concert DVD.
I agree with you.
And not to spoil anything, but we saw them live in last year, and Blood Brothers was two of my favorite songs. One of them was Blood Brothers' performance live, and we saw them live. Blood Brothers is like I've grown to appreciate it more and more throughout time.
Exactly. I think we talked about this before. When Steve wrote the song Blood Brothers, it was about his dad, obviously, passing away. But the song has become one of those songs that they should play on every single set. It's a love of the fans.
Get rid of Fear of the Dark, play Blood Brothers every show.
Blood Brothers or Phantom of the Opera. Those two songs should be in the set list, like perennially. They should always be in there.
Yeah, like they said, Joe said originally Blood Brothers was about Steve's dad who died. And then when we saw them, it was about Dio.
Yeah.
Dio had died. And this song was a tribute to Dio. Bruce is a huge Dio fan. He modeled his singing after Dio as one of his models.
If you guys don't know who Ronnie James Dio is,
well, I'm sure they do.
Make sure you understand who Ronnie James Dio is. Ronnie James Patanova, his real name. Amazing, from New York, United States. Fantastic.
There is no Iron Maiden as we know it without Dio.
You guys, seriously, his solo stuff was great. If you think about Bruce Dickinson and why they dedicated to this, you can see how Bruce has kind of modeled himself to an extent after Dio.
In my opinion, Dio is the only frontman in metal history that comes close to Bruce.
I agree with you.
It's the only guy on his level.
Bruce Dickinson, right? He was in Samson. I mean, they were good. They were good. That's where he got his start.
Got his chops. Yeah, he was really young too.
Got his chops with that. Iron Maiden comes along. Bruce did his solo stuff. Goes back to Maiden. Think about Dio. Dio, right? Had a bunch of bands before. He was in a band called Elf. Then he was in
Learned his craft, yep.
Rainbow with Richie fucking Blackmore. Amazing 3 albums with Dio. They were amazing. Those 3 albums with Dio are some of the greatest classic rock albums of all time.
Stargazer is like a top 10 metal song. It's really, really great.
I know this is a podcast, of the Beast, but this is a matter of life and Maiden, so we're going to talk about life here for a second.
Well, it relates to Maiden.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys need to check out Rainbow, Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow, that album, Rainbow Rising, and Long Live Rock and Roll. Those 3 albums with Dio are incredible.
Yeah, they're not pure metal as we've come to know. They're not Iron Maiden metal. They're not Metallica metal. They're transition between like Black Sabbath and
there you go. And
80s metal. It's what you have to know. You have to know your history of metal and music, and it's one of those stepping stones.
And Matt says Black Sabbath. Guess who's in Black Sabbath after Ozzy left? Ronnie James Dio.
And honestly, I like that. I like Dio way better than Ozzy.
I like Dio stuff better too. The Heaven and Hell album, if you guys haven't listened to Black Sabbath's Heaven and Hell album, it is fucking amazing.
It's almost not even the same band.
It's not. He brings that creative spark, like when Bruce and them left in 90 and 92 and the 90s with Maiden. It was the same thing with Sabbath.
Yeah.
When Dio left, it was nowhere near as creative. Yeah. Listen to that album. Listen to Heaven and Hell. It's fantastic. Listen to Mob Rules. He comes back in 1992 for Dehumanizer. Amazing. They reunite and create a new band called Heaven and Hell. They released one studio album.
Yeah, which is Sabbath, but with Dio.
With the Dio lineup. Yeah. Amazing. Ronnie James Dio is amazing.
And it's a shame, like, getting back to Iron Maiden, it's a shame that he died. He had cancer and he died, and Bruce, at the show when we saw him, he did his tribute to Dio, and everybody threw up,
the horns.
The horns, yeah, like, how many people were there? 15,000 people.
Another relation of how fucking Bruce Dickinson is almost identical to the life path of Dio. Bruce had fucking cancer, and he lived, though. He survived.
Well, Bruce is better than Dio. There you go. Bruce is a lot younger. He was like at least 10 years younger than Dio at the time. So, I mean, that has a lot to do with cancer survival.
Everybody out there listening to this podcast, listen to some Dio. And Ronnie, rest in peace. Yeah. You were the man. We're throwing up horns right now for you, buddy.
Now, getting back to In Vivo, at this show, they dedicated to the victims of the Japan earthquake.
Exactly.
Which killed thousands of people in Japan. Very, very terrible. And Iron Maiden was almost in Japan.
When it happened?
Yeah, a couple days. They were a couple days away from going. Maybe 2 days, I think. And I remember after it happened, I looked at the Iron Maiden website, and they put out a statement saying they had to cancel the shows and all their thoughts, were with the Japanese people. It was a really, really terrible earthquake. Probably the worst earthquake in modern history over the past, 10, 15 years.
Yeah, for those people out there, too, who passed away in the earthquake, rest in peace.
And Iron Maiden, they dedicated to those people, and they also dedicated to Iron Maiden fans everywhere. Whether they were in Libya or Egypt, there's terrible places going on. Bruce said it doesn't matter if you're Muslim or Jewish or Christian or whatever. You don't have a religion. You're part of Iron Maiden. You're part of a family. Exactly. It's part of one fucking family, as he said in the show.
And it's incredibly powerful.
And this performance setting that up, I mean. And before this performance, another great part of this DVD is Steve did not cut out. There's the crowds just going nuts. They're just chanting, and the band just looking out. And this is Iron Maiden. They've done, thousands of shows. They played in Rock in Rio. They played all these places. And the look on their faces is like, holy crap. Like, this is, like, amazing. It's incredible. Like, I think one part they showed, like, Janek's face, and he mouthed, wow. I mean, these are, like, seasoned musicians here. And they don't cut that out, and then there's like this tape of something. I don't know what it was, but there's like this paper tape that's like hanging out of the rafters.
Like a streamer or something.
Yeah, like a streamer. And Bruce is like pulling it down. He's trying to like pull the rest of it down, and he like rips it and he can't reach it anymore. And he's like, "Fuck!" And the whole crowd's laughing. And they didn't cut it out. And I think that's like one of this all leads. This is the best part of the whole show. This all leads into like Blood Brothers. You can tell it's one of the band's favorite songs, if not their favorite to play.
Absolutely. Like I said, it should be in the set list like perennially all the time.
I've never gotten sick of Blood Brothers. I never skip it.
Amazing.
Janek has one of his best solos he's ever done in this song. The lyrics are top notch. One of the best Iron Maiden's ever done. It's not the heaviest Iron Maiden song in the world. It's their best ballad, I think, they've ever done.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We talk about Blood Brothers so many times.
Sit here and talk about it all day.
We could.
And then in the middle of the show, he finally gets the streamer and he pulls it down right in the middle of right at the right time too. It was amazing. Like, and the crowd cheers. I mean, it was a great performance. My favorite. It's one I've probably that and The Talisman.
Yeah, it's definitely.
And Dance of Death are my three favorite
Yeah, same here.
So that was, in my opinion, that's the peak of the show.
That's the peak, and then after they play Brothers, they play When the Wild Wind Blows.
Which is, it works live, I think. It's a fine song. Like we talked about before. It's not like my favorite Steve song, but it's not my least favorite.
Yeah, it works well live, too. Personally, though, when the setlist came out, I wanted to see Isle of Avalon a lot.
Yeah.
Or Starboy.
Well, I think we could talk about, too, is that they only play 5 songs off this album live, and typically they play 6.
Yeah, they kind of tried to make it look like they were playing 6 because they spliced Satellite 15 in Final Frontier, but it doesn't count.
No, same song. So, I mean, what song besides, Avalon, is that the one song you wish they played live? Or Starblind?
Those 2 songs from this album, yeah.
I think, like, I'm trying to think which one would have, like, worked better live. Maybe Avalon would have worked a little better. I think Starblind would have been hard to pull off live. Yeah. Because of how technical it is, and the dynamics of it, and everything. So
amazing, though, either way. We talk about When the Wild Wind Blows in the Final Frontier Review podcast. We like it a lot, but it, like Matt just said, it's not the greatest song ever. It works live, but...
Yeah, the peak of the show was Blood Brothers there. Now we're coming down now.
And I don't want to say that to a certain extent that an older song is the peak of the show, but you kind of want your new material to kind of... If you're going to be doing a show based on an album, you would want the new material to
Well,
be
what do you think
the good stuff,
was the peak of Rock and Rio? What would you say was the high point of that whole show?
Well, the thing about Rock and Rio is it's all good.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of... I'm like sitting here thinking like a peak. Actually, like, my opinion, it probably is like...
Evil That Men Do?
No, I was thinking like Hallowed.
I'll do that end.
I think that performance. And then like the end with Run to the Hills was really great too.
It's great.
I mean, Rock and Rio is perfection.
And I think that goes to show you the strength of the album, too, because Brave New World was so good.
Yeah, it fit right in.
People didn't get sick of hearing Wicker Man, Gustav, Navigator, Dream of Mirrors, and the songs and stuff.
Yeah, like, you heard, like, when they did, like, Ghost of the Navigator, and then you heard 2 Minutes to Midnight, it wasn't like, oh, man, 2 Minutes to Midnight's so much better than Ghost of the Navigator.
Navigator was, like, better than 2 Minutes to Midnight.
It was just right there.
Shit. Yeah, I mean, it's perfect. And that's what I mean about this. I would have chosen another song besides When the Wild Wind Blows to play live, because I think it showcases the album at a better level than that. But after they play When the Wild Wind Blows, they go into The Evil That Men Do.
Great song live. It worked. It worked live too.
I mean, we talk about it. Fear of the Dark.
This is when Eddie came out too during the song.
Evil That Men Do.
Yeah, which is usually like they always bring Eddie out during probably like a little over an hour into the show because people are you're getting a little tired. You've been cheering and screaming. You heard a bunch of songs, and then you bring Eddie out, and it's like, oh my god, Eddie. And no matter how many times, we've seen Iron Maiden like 6 times, like, every time they bring Eddie out, it's amazing.
It is amazing. And he comes out as an alien.
Yeah,
with a guitar in his hands this time. Very interesting. I mean, the characterization of him as an alien is fucking amazing. It's badass.
Yeah.
We got to see it as an alien. He kicked that. It might be, aside from the Cyborg Eddie that we saw in Somewhere Back in Time, I think it's probably my second favorite.
I don't know, they're all pretty good.
It looks badass.
Yeah.
Just incredible.
Never disappoints. Eddie
glowing
never
red
disappoints.
eyes. Fucking amazing. And then after that, they play Fear of the Dark.
Yeah, I mean, this version of Fear of the Dark's fine. It was a fine version of Fear of the Dark. I mean, we kind of say this every time we talk about Fear of the Dark. Kind of sick of it.
Yeah, it's repetitive.
It's getting old.
I like what they're doing with the new Legacy of the Beast tour and how Bruce is actually like costuming it this time, which is it's much needed. I mean, when you see that live, it's going to be a lot better. So
yeah, honestly, they probably should have
they should
have dropped it.
After Fear of the
Give
Dark,
it a break,
Yeah, I agree with you. After Fear, they're going to Iron Maiden.
Yeah, it's kind of like their classic thing they do now is they do Fear of the Dark and the Iron Maiden. Fine version of Iron Maiden. Nothing to write home about until the giant blow up Eddie comes out.
Amazing.
Yeah,
the alien Eddie, the big alien Eddie in the background.
Crowd goes nuts.
Huge Eddie, alien head. Oh yeah, and the whole we're gonna talk about this too when we talk about it. The whole stage set, by the way, is a huge, gigantic derelict space station, which looks awesome. Nico's drum set is like his toms and stuff, and his bass drum have his bass drum cover is a black hole, and then his toms have like planets and stars and outer space stuff all on them. It looks awesome. It looks badass.
Yeah. Ever since probably the Flight 666 tour, I mean, Nico's drums are always a highlight of the stage set.
He always has that little sooty puppet, little bear on his thing.
Yeah, Nico's a little a little goofy, he's a little weird, but
he's awesome.
Yeah.
Great drummer. After Iron Maiden, they go into the encore, the Number of the Beast.
Yeah, I really like Number of the Beast. I mean,
Amazing.
This is like the 6th or 7th time we've been talking about like some of these songs, so it's like,
yeah, we're sorry if it's repetitive. Honestly, it's repetitive for us too, but
I guess it's amazing. It's good. It's a great performance.
After that, they play "Hallowed Be Thy Name."
Never disappoints.
Amazing.
I think that should be in every set.
Agreed. And then "Running Free,"
which is this is what the second time in a row they've closed with this song in the tour, right? Because they closed with it in Flight 6662.
I think they closed with "Hallowed Be Thy Name."
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somewhere back in time. Yeah.
Which tour did they close with? Did they close with it in Maiden? That's what it was. Yeah.
Yep.
So they do this, and then they do Made in England. We kind of like went out of order with our podcast there when we did Made in England, but I thought it's not my favorite closer that they do. I think they should close with "Hallowed Be Thy Name." I think that's a song that nobody's disappointed in ever seeing, and I think that's a good way to leave the crowd. Exactly. "Run the Hill" is another great closer. That's what they're closing with now in the Legacy of the Beast tour.
Really, I think closing with anything off of "The Number of the Beast" is a good idea. Maybe besides, obviously,
I think those two work.
Even if you close with the title track "Number of the Beast," I think
we've seen "Wasted Years" close the show. That was a good one.
That was great.
I mean, you have to close with something like that.
Yeah, you have to close with something.
That was a leap of faith there to close with "Wasted Years." It was a different, really, really different. They ever used "Wasted Years" for, and it worked 100%.
It was awesome. And then just to touch on our experience,
we'll talk about the songs that we saw different than the in Vivo set.
Yeah, we're going to talk about our tour.
Well, first off, when this they released the tour, right, and we're looking at it, and they were playing in Pittsburgh, which is like an hour and a half away from us, 2 hours away. Which is really, really close, which is the closest show that they would ever do to us usually. And then they were playing the very next day. They were playing in Cleveland. So me and Joe got this crazy idea that we're going to go see him in Pittsburgh one day, and then the very next day we're going to go to Cleveland and see him. So we got to see this tour 2 days back to back, which is like the most incredible thing I can think of with Iron Maiden.
Yep, we had another buddy of ours come along, and my younger brother came.
Yeah, this would have been his second and third show.
And he loves the new stuff. I talked about this on other podcasts.
Yeah, Brave New World's his favorite.
Yep, Brave New World's his favorite album. He loves the newer stuff. That's his era. Matt and I love, probably
we love everything.
We love everything. But it was for us. I mean, somewhere back in time is our show.
Yeah, that was the best Iron Maiden show I've ever seen.
And for my brother,
show period.
His name is Matt as well. His favorite is
Brave New World.
Brave New World.
Heads and Shoulders. Love everything.
And this set list, he loved it. He loved this set.
Yeah, they opened with Wicker Man.
Yeah.
When we saw him. Which is a great way to open. I love Wicker Man.
It's amazing.
Especially as an opener. I think it works best as an opener.
It's great. And And by the way, too, they another one of our favorite bands that we listen to all the time was opening for them. Dream Theater.
Didn't even mention that.
Amazing. We'll get to see Dream Theater and Iron Maiden.
Yeah, we saw an hour of Dream Theater and then 2 hours of Maiden.
It was incredible.
Wait, when that came out, I'm looking at when the tour came out, and I'm looking and I'm with our special guest Dream Theater, and I think Joe was working at the time, and I'm trying to call him at work at the time. The Dream Theater was opening for Iron Maiden, which it's 6 months down the road. It's no hurry to tell him that, but
I think I called you back.
Yeah, I was dude, you're on break. I'm yeah, this is amazing. Dream Theater, man, you believe it?
You guys never heard of Dream Theater? Check them out. Amazing.
At the time, Dream Theater was my second favorite band.
Oh, they're great.
So Iron Maiden was my favorite, and Dream Theater was my second favorite band. Seeing both at the one show was a dream come true. To see them in 2 shows right in a row.
If you guys don't know Dream Theater, check them out. John Petrucci, one of the greatest guitar players alive today, now.
Their sound, they always describe their sound as being like Rush, Yes, and Iron Maiden put together.
Yeah, it's kind of what they were, John Petrucci shreds. James LeBray, he can sing, but he's kind of rough. He's hit or miss.
He's really good on the albums. Live's a little rough.
John Mayung, a fantastic bass player.
We saw him with Portnoy, too.
Amazing. And then we saw him at this concert with Portnoy, and then...
This was the last tour they ever did with Portnoy.
This is the last tour they ever did with Portnoy that we saw them. And they got Mike Mangini later.
Manginius.
We saw him live, too, twice. He's amazing. But Portnoy was good, for the stuff that he did. But if you guys haven't seen Dream Theater, check him out.
Yeah, there was a part in the... when they were doing... they played Constant Motion, And in one part, he
Portnoy's
usually sings. Portnoy, instead of saying like his normal backing vocals, he said "Run to the Hills," which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
But anyways, we get back to Iron Maiden. In the show, they opened with Wicker Man, which is like, we're big Rock and Rio fans, we're big Brave New World fans. Love the Wicker Man opening. Is way different than anything we ever seen from Iron Maiden. They go right into Ghost of the Navigator, so now we're in like Rock and Rio fantasy land here. We're like seeing that tour.
Amazing.
Ghost of the Navigator, amazing live.
It was incredible live.
One of my favorites off this whole set. Yeah.
Wrathchild.
Yeah.
Cause I'm a Wrathchild.
I always say it's better when the song's played earlier in the set because we're still just like excited to be there. So it's like less. Like if they play this like the 12th song of the show, we'd probably be like. But since this was like the third song, we're still pretty excited. Yeah,
then the fourth song after Wrathchild, they played Dorado.
Yeah, so now we're getting 3 new era songs out of 4. And
Bruce talked about it too. He's like, "We got a new album coming out here soon. It's going to be released in August called The Final Frontier." And he kept saying to everybody, "Please make it number 1. Please make it number 1. Buy the album."
Didn't quite get the number 1, but
I think I like number 4.
I think what was the best of the reunion era albums that did sales wise in America?
Final Frontier and Book of Souls. I think are the only 2. I think they're both number 4.
Yeah,
pretty sure. Yeah,
it's because people don't buy albums as much anymore. So, but Iron Maiden fans buy Iron Maiden albums still. I still buy the albums.
Yeah, so do I. I think it was I buy the digital download, the CD, and I have the records, the actual vinyl records. So
you account for the love themselves. Dorado live was really cool. We weren't really used to hearing the song. I think the only time we heard the song was like YouTube videos. So
yeah, we watched YouTube videos, and I think they released something on their webpage of the actual song.
Yeah, so I mean, this was like kind of like one of the first times of us like really hearing the song.
Dance of Death.
Yeah, so now we're getting 4 out of 5 songs here are newer.
Amazing.
And Dance of Death live, like we talked about in the In Vivo part, like amazing live song.
Oh, fantastic song. I mean, I loved it.
It's one of their best songs live. Like, it works really, really well live. Bruce is a master storyteller.
Like, sitting here talking to you guys about this, it's so... I feel so like I don't even know, just like privileged, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but you guys have no idea if you haven't been able to experience it. You guys have no idea what it's like to go see a classic 1980s tour based on Power Slave somewhere back in time, and how fucking incredible it was to see the albums that I listened to, timeless classics, and I'm sure Matt agrees 100% with me. Played right in front of you again. I mean, your own Live After Death show. And what does Maiden do? You know, you think pretty much as a Maiden fan, you're going to go see them, and you're probably going to see the same stuff. I mean, when this tour was announced, like Matt said, we only saw Dorado. I thought this was going to be a tour that was going to be 5 or 6 Maiden songs, just like the In Vivo set list, and maybe a couple sparsely mixed in songs from throughout the catalog. No. It was one song from Final Frontier, and we got to see the reunion albums up until the Final Frontier before it was released. I mean, this was a set list based on the reunion stuff.
Yeah, we didn't get to see Brave New World tour. We didn't see the Dance to Death tour.
Didn't see Matt saw Matter of Life and Death, but I didn't see that.
So this was like our chance to see like a lot of these songs for the first time and probably the last time. You know, probably not going to play Ghost of the Navigator again.
And that just goes to show you the power of the band and why we're fans. I love this. I'm not saying I love it as much as the 80s stuff because I'm more partial to the 80s stuff because that's kind of where my...
Yeah, I'm not saying that this stuff is better than the Somewhere Back in Time, but what makes it great is that...
It's different.
Iron Maiden is not a, like, shell that for themselves. They're not a tribute band. They're not Kiss going around playing the same songs over and over and over. Like I just said, 4 out of 5 songs now have been newer stuff.
You guys seriously do yourself a favor. When you go to an Iron Maiden show, they are going to blow your mind no matter what. And I'm just saying that from experience. You would think that hearing the reunion stuff, you wouldn't think it'd be as great as the 80s stuff. It's on that level. I mean, it's just as good. I'm not saying it's better, like Matt said, but it's close to being as amazing as you can get.
And if you're Joe's brother, it's better.
Exactly.
He'd like this better than he'd like the Somewhere Back in Time.
My brother liked this stuff better because he loves Brave New World, he loves A Matter of Life and Death, and he likes Dance to Death. That's his stuff. And he loved the Final Frontier when it came out.
Yeah.
So, just very, very privileged and very fortunate, guys. If they're coming around and you guys are metal fans, are Maiden fans and you don't think that the newer stuff is as good as, the old stuff, I hate to tell you, but you're wrong. It's just as good. And in some parts, it might be a little better in terms of progressive sound and solos.
And it's a little more polished.
Yeah, it's more polished. Then, after they play the Glorious Dance of Death, which was an amazing live experience, they play the Reincarnation of Benjamin Brigg.
Yep. So now we're getting 5 out of 6 songs now, a bit newer, and Benny Brigg live is one of the highlights of the whole show.
I never saw Matter of Life and Death, any of the album songs played live. Matt saw the whole album played live because they were so proud of that album they played it when he saw it. But what about you, man? I mean, what did you like better? Did you like this version better, or did you like when you went to see the first time?
The first time I saw him, I think it was like the second show in the whole tour or something. It was like second or third show that they ever played the whole album live. So the stuff wasn't polished like this is. They knew Benny Brigg. It sounded better this other time around. And, I mean, just being able to appreciate it. And,
what about in terms of, seating? Were you closer this time or farther away?
The first show in Pittsburgh, we were pretty close. I remember. We were, in the second row right behind the pit. Yeah, so I was about the same, probably. It was great. Both times were great. I think I was able to appreciate it more this second time around. The first time I saw him, I was kind of, blown away, just the experience of being there and at the show. And by this point, I think this was my 4th Iron Maiden show. So, I mean, the more you see him, the more you appreciate being able to just be there and experience it.
Absolutely, I agree with you, man.
Every show, I appreciate it more and more than the previous one. Yeah. I mean, Benny Brigg live. Dave goes and he stands on top of the sound speakers and he does the solo. Great. I mean, it's one of his best solos of all time.
It's fantastic. That's the beauty of it again. Just when you hear this new song, these new songs and these new albums, and 20 years from now, when we look back on this, we're going to say, this is all Iron Maiden. We're not going to be saying, there's a golden age, there's a silver age. It's going to be Iron Maiden. And
people aren't going to be like, oh, I don't like Brave New World as much as I like Power Slave. But, 20 years, they're going to experience them, simultaneously. They're not going to have, this gap between them.
Exactly. And that just goes to show you how great of a band they are. Because the new stuff is just as good. I know I said it a million times already, but seriously, listen to the new stuff if you guys have. It's worth it. It's so worth it. It'll blow your mind. Then they play These Colors Don't Run after the monumental Benny Brigg.
Yeah, I mean, These Colors Don't Run is a fine song. Like I said, they usually play this or they play The Trooper. Mm-hmm. They don't play both, and this is the one they chose to do because it's a newer tour and it's what they're going to play. So
another new song, amazing.
It's a 6 out of 7. New stuff.
Blood Brothers.
8 out of... We're 7 out of 8 now. Blood Brothers. I mean, we just talked about Blood Brothers when we talked about it in Vivo. I mean, amazing song. Always a highlight of the show.
We talked about how it was dedicated to Dio this time around. Amazing. After they play Blood Brothers, Wild Streams.
Yeah,
another new song.
This is a shorter rocker, so it kind of keeps people a little more interested.
I love Adrian. Spotlight Live comes on him just like it was on the Death on the Road. So it's like you're experiencing Death on the Road. It's him with the spotlight on him, and he's doing his little.
Yeah, we pretty much saw the best off of Brave New World, and most of the best off of Dance of Death minus Passchendaele. Mm-hmm. So I mean, we got to experience best out of those 2 albums.
It was like we had our own personal Rock in Rio and our own personal Death on the Road. That's pretty much what it was. With a little bit of Matter, Life, and Death, and a minimal splash of Final Frontier. A little splash of En Vivo with Dorado. After Wildest Dreams and Adrian out there, ripping up with that solo with the spotlight on him, they play No More Lies.
This is one amazing. Of Steve's epics, and I liked it live. I'm not a big fan of the song personally, but when they played it live, it did kind of had something extra live, and it did. And it did on the album version.
It was just amazing. Then it just keeps going. It just keeps going. After No More Lies, they're playing Brave New World.
Yeah. So if you like modern Maiden like we do, me and Joe, ever since Bruce came back to the band reunion, I mean, this ends the run of 10 out of 11 songs being new stuff minus Wrathchild, which was from Killers. So if you're if you like Iron Maiden, you only like the classic stuff, and you went to this concert, you're probably pretty upset that you don't know 10 out of the first 11 songs, or you're not real familiar with all of them.
Yeah.
But Iron Maiden, what they do is they're going to play their newer stuff to keep people interested, and that's how you make yourself, your band have longevity. Is you got to stay relevant. You got to play newer stuff. You got to keep people interested. Because if they did the Flight 666 tour every year for 15 years, we'd be burnt out of Iron Maiden.
Summer Back in Time tour,
Yeah, like we love it, but how many times can you watch that show? How many times do you go to that concert and be like, maybe me and Joe would go every time, but if you're a casual Iron Maiden fan or semi, hardcore fan, you're not going to go back and see the same show over and over and over again.
Exactly.
That's why they did the Somewhere Back in Time tour, and then they do a new album, and then they do, Made in England, and, it works. Their formula works. Keeps people interested.
Amazing. Just like Matt said, I mean, you don't...
And talking about Brave New World, it has another one of Davies, signature solos.
No, just incredible live. Yeah, these are songs I never thought I'd ever see live. Just like the same, I had the same feeling that I had when I saw Somewhere Back in Time. These are songs I never thought I'd ever see.
Yeah, this is the the second different show that me and Joe have seen live, and it's completely different songs.
Brave New World is...
we've seen Somewhere Back in Time tour, and then we go see here, and we see 10 different songs than we've ever heard before, or, something like that. Yeah. 10 or 11 different songs.
We never got to see ever before, and they're good. They're great songs. It wasn't like they're playing the bad songs or the weak songs on the album. They're pretty strong.
That's how strong their catalog is, that they have, 40 songs that they could play at any time, or 50 songs.
It's amazing. Then they go into, the more classical stuff. They play...
Yeah, now is the point of the show that they're going to kind of please people that are there just to see the older stuff.
Yeah, then they'll do Fear of the Dark and Iron Maiden, which is a live staple.
Yeah, and this is the same exact run they had in Vivo then the show.
Exactly. Then they
Number of the Beast, Hallowed Be Thy Name, and Running Free.
And Running Free is cool because Bruce introduced everybody in the band. I know we talked about this on that podcast. The Red Hand of Death, Mr. Steve Harris on the bass guitar. And he goes around and does all this.
It would have been cool if they would have came back to the U.S. and we could have saw the other leg of the Final Frontier tour. We could have saw the In Vivo show because it was different enough that it would have been worth seeing again.
Yeah, we would have saw
2 Minutes to Midnight,
15, Final Frontier,
Talisman,
When the Wild Wind Blows, Coming Home,
songs we never saw.
But we missed that, unfortunately.
Looking back now, which show would you rather have seen? The In Vivo set list or the set list we saw?
Oh, without question, man. I mean, there's no contest. It's this one by far.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I got to see my own version of Rock in Rio. I got to see pretty much a piece of Death on the Road. That to me was not as paramount as watching Live After Death a million times for Run the Ancient Mariner and stuff, but getting to see Dance of Death live, getting to see
Benny
No
Brieg.
More Lies, Benny Brieg. These colors don't run. The first 4 songs from Brave New World, Wicker Man, Gustav, Navigator,
I think
Brave
out of
New
all
World, Blood Brothers.
out of all these songs, the only one we got to see ever again was Blood Brothers.
Yeah,
I believe we haven't seen Wicker Man again, Ghost of the Navigator, Dorado, Dance of Death, Benny Brieg, These Colors Don't Run, Wilder Streams, No More Lies, Brave New World. We never saw those songs again.
Exactly.
And we've seen on
Made in England and Book of Souls.
Yeah, 2 different sets. So
amazing. And this is so fortunate.
I believe on the Legacy of the Beast show they're playing Wicker Man. I think out of so that's the new stuff that they're playing there, which is I don't know out of all the songs, maybe the Wicker Man wouldn't be the one I'd want to hear again. But
out of
I'd like to hear Dance of Death or Benny Brieg. I think would be or Ghost of the Navigator.
Me too. They were great. Ghost of the Navigator was incredible live. Out of the concerts we've seen, where do you think this ranks?
So we've seen the Somewhere Back in Time show. We saw this. We saw Made in England, and we saw the Book of Souls tour. Now, are we talking about concert experience? Or are we talking about the set or the stage or everything?
Let's talk about everything. I mean, what do you think of the stage set? Where do you think that ranks to the first?
I don't know. It's hard in my head though. I think the Made in England and the Somewhere Back in Time stuff are just above.
Yeah, I agree.
Just because it was just classic. And so between this and the Book of Souls, without going too much into the Book of Souls show, we'll talk about that later.
This probably the weakest.
Yeah, I think I like the Book of Souls show more.
Yeah, me too. I think it's the weakest. It's not no fault of the band.
But saying that, it's still a 9 out of 10.
Oh,
still, when me and Joe go to see bands in concert, you know, we usually rank the concert. Like, where does this rank after all the Iron Maiden shows we've seen? Because we don't even include them.
And when another thing that I want to bring up with that too, man, with the stage set and stuff. And obviously, we said the sound was good, the songs were great, the backdrops were great. Another thing about the stage set and design is, if you think about it, they're playing newer stuff.
Yeah.
When they played Wicker Man and they did Rock in Rio and they did Death on the Road, they didn't really have too much of a big backdrop for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the production isn't there, you know.
Yeah. The catalog from the 80s is far more overblown and stretched out. So, honestly, for going out and, like, basically just creating a space station out of thin air for a stage set, that's pretty ingenious for them with having 2 rocket ships on the side and stuff.
Yeah, they had these the towers,
like
and
rockets.
they had lights on top that would go and they would move around the crowd.
Yeah, it was really
kind of
cool.
cool.
It was really cool. But I agree with you in the way that was. What about Vivo as a show ranked among the other releases of Iron Maiden?
Like the live DVDs?
Like the live DVDs so far up to this point. Not including
I think it's my second favorite live DVD besides, I think Rock and Rio is heads and shoulders above everything. I think Vivo's second. If I had to give like a grade, I'd give it like a 9 out of 10.
We give Rock and Rio perfect.
Rock and Rio, oh yeah. Rock and Rio is like an 11 out of 10.
Absolutely. Yeah, for me, I agree to an extent. I think musically, definitely.
As a concert, if I'm taking it as a concert.
Yeah. For me, still though, including in the concert, actually being in that space and seeing the performance, because the stage set isn't as good as the Death on the Road one for me. I think for me, Death on the Road might be a little bit better, but in terms of music and the way it sounds, it's definitely better. I think this is my third favorite.
What would you give it a grade if you had to give it?
I agree with you. It's 9 out of 10. It's the same ranking as Death on the Road. It's just because of that stage set.
Well, we talked about the Final Frontier and the Dance to Death album, and we always said that like every day it was kind of a back and forth thing. You know,
that's kind of how it is, you know. Yeah.
One day you wake up, you like Vivo more. One day you wake up and you like Death on the Road. Depends on what you want. You want a theatrical, intimate experience. You like Death on the Road. If you want a big concert feel with a stadium, performance, like you think. You're gonna like Vivo.
And if you want the best ever, you just watch Rock and Roll
for the 108th time.
But hey guys, anyway, please check out all the Maiden DVDs, the live DVDs. Check out Ronnie James Dio we talked about. Check out Dream Theater if you guys haven't checked it out. Iron Maiden.
Check out Modern Maiden. Like, make sure you know Brave New World through Book of Souls. Like, it's good stuff.
It's fantastic stuff. Final Frontier is an amazing album.
Like some of you guys out there might be just classic Maiden fans. You haven't listened to the newer stuff much. Like. Worth it, 100% worth it.
Yeah, get out there, give it a listen. Go pick up a guitar. Matt and I kind of mentioned our little casual playing. You know, get into music that'll give you something to do that you'll enjoy.
Start an Iron Maiden tribute band, you know.
Yeah, Children of the Beast. Shout out to those guys. They're from South America, I believe.
Or the Iron Maidens.
Brazil. Good job, guys.
The Iron Maidens.
Yeah, amazing.
Watch them on YouTube all the time.
Fantastic. But hey, guys, anyway, please comment, follow us on Instagram, Facebook. Listen to the YouTube page, Get on there, and if you're disgruntled with some of the stuff we say, tell us why. If you're on there and you applaud us for some of the stuff we say, tell us why. If there's tidbits of information that you know that we didn't speak about, we might not know it. Usually we try to include everything that we know in the podcast, unless we forget it. There's some stuff people have commented on our YouTube page who have told us things that we don't even know about, that we didn't know about.
YouTube's a great place to find out stuff that you didn't know, Like, you read the comment section, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that, or...
And we really appreciate that because we're Maiden fans.
Nobody knows everything.
Yeah, we don't know everything. We just know what we know because of our experience. If you guys know something else that we don't, please tell us. We'd love to hear it. We'd love to talk to you guys about it. Thanks for listening to A Matter of Life and Maiden, the podcast of the Beast. This has been the episode dedicated to Vivo and the Final Frontier. And the next chapter we're going to be opening up is the Book of Souls and the Book of Souls live chapter.
And we got 2 more podcasts about the albums, and
then we're going to go do something different.
Yeah, so the other thing, too, if you guys have any cool ideas for podcasts, like rankings or, we were thinking about, like, top 10 lists of certain things, like top 10 best epics or...
Top 10 guitar solos, top 10, closers, tandem songs, openers, best
anything you think about. Or if you think about, like, controversies, like Iron Maiden getting sued by... by people. That's happened recently.
Absolutely. Ranking the album artwork.
Yeah.
Best to worst. All that kind of stuff. Let us know. I'm Joe Labriola.
And I'm Matt Wagner.
Thanks again, guys, for listening to A Matter of Life and Maiden, the podcast of the Beast. We'll catch you guys on the Book of Souls chapter.